Hey everyone, this is Dennis coming to you from this new show called The Real Estate Roundtable with Dennis and Mario. We're going to have a lot of different focuses. Mario and myself, we're both creative guys. We focus on creative real estate, and now is no better time to start talking about creative, especially with the rates that are constantly going up and based on the market will continue going up based on the latest economical updates. This
Hmm.
show is not going to be just about creative. We're going to have guests that are going to talk about real estate in general, real estate market, real estate trends, and economy as a whole. First step that I'd like to do today is for everybody to get to know us, the host. So I'm Dennis, and we have Mario.
Mario.
I want to make sure that everyone here understands that we are active investors in our local market. So we're based in South Jersey. We cover the tri state area. We love creative opportunities, creative deals, and we have tons of exit strategies how to dispose them, whether we hold them or we do other things with them. That said, this show is going to be not just me and Mario talking about the trends, the markets. We're going to actually have sessions where we're going to just have anybody here that can bring us an opportunity and we will help them underwrite it and tell them if it's a good deal or not a good deal. And potentially, we might even want to partner up with you. So definitely keep us on your radar. We will be consistently going live Sunday around 6 p.m. And at this point, we're going to start up to 7 p.m., but we might expand it to see how much demand we get, and we'll see how things go. With that
Yeah.
said, this is streaming to a lot of the channels that I have: Real Estate Mastermind, Creative Financing Delaware Valley, YouTube that I just started, as well as Multifamily Secrets Revealed. Lots of different real estate areas. What all of them have in common is that when it comes to real estate, you can acquire real estate different ways. And what we really like to focus, as I said, beginning of the show, as creative aspect of real estate, and especially with today's rates increasing, you all want to know about creative, and that will become very short in time, common thing just as much as a mortgage. With that said, I want to take an opportunity for everybody to get to know Mario Lencino. Did I spell your last name correctly, Mario?
It's Lancioni.
Okay, I already
Yeah.
messed that up. I
It's okay. It's
apologize.
all good, man. I understand.
So
A lot of
Mario,
vowels in there.
awesome. So Mario, I'd like to start out by you just giving our viewers and whoever's watching now in the future a little bit about yourself. Maybe talk a little bit about your background, how you got into real estate, and then probably have some questions based on the answers that you give. The
Yeah,
floor
that's
is yours, Mario.
absolutely. Yeah. Before I dive into myself, I want to let everybody know that I am in the trenches doing this stuff day in and day out with my team. We're based in Audubon, New Jersey, so we're working on deals on market, off market, building relationships with realtors, and really identifying where there are opportunities. And most of the opportunities I've seen are with lease purchase options, which we can dive into that down the road, as well as seller finance and subject to. Subject to has been pretty big for us recently. We've closed about 15 deals in the past 3 months, sub two only. And I'd say half of them, if not more, I have to run my KPIs, were from Zillow, like Zillow and Redfin. That's one of our two main sources. And it's a super simple script that we utilize to find off-market deals or on-market deals with realtors. And it's not. I've noticed we even ourselves when we pitch creative deals to realtors, you have to keep it super simple. You cannot overcomplicate it. Even if you know subject to inside and out, if you try to show them how your expertise, it turns into a shit show because that's what I've seen some of our guys do, even though they know it really well. But yeah, a little bit about myself. I did not growing up. I grew up with a single mom. Did not come from a background of money or real estate experience at all. It was really just something that really stemmed from me from just being in corporate America. So I worked corporate America for 10 years. And as I was in corporate America, I realized that that wasn't my end game. My end game had to be something else because it was something I see from a distance that the owners really owned all the intellectual property that we did as a salesperson because I was a sales rep for the company. And what I realized was I needed to create my own intellectual property, whether it was owning a business, doing real estate, or doing anything related for myself. Um, about 5 years into corporate America, I actually opened a frozen yogurt business. I opened it up with two other sales reps with our company, and we didn't know one thing about management, inventory control, anything. It pretty much bellied up like 4 years later, and we had a really hard truth that we were not business. We were not business people. We didn't know anything about business at the time because we were just young and really green. But it taught me a huge lesson of having to be understand management, marketing, sales at a different level. More being in the owner's box versus being like in the trenches every day. And it helped me transition or pivot into single family real estate by just buying a property that was turnkey, just really didn't need any renovation, any maintenance required, and just buy assets that way. So we did the traditional route with buying FHA properties, and from buying FHA, I started really doing some research, doing the Burr method, and that's where I started doing the Burr method, bringing in investors, and really just sprouting up and owning several rental properties. There was a period where I owned over 100 plus rental properties and had another brilliant idea at the time to start a construction company because I thought it was going to help me scale to the next level. It actually didn't. It actually hurt me and damaged me pretty bad pre-COVID, and probably was about six to $700,000 in the rears. So I was really in a bad position. So what happened was my wife and I were able to project manage our way out of existing flips and renovations to flip our way back into the profit side because during COVID, if you were in the real estate market, it actually the market shifted and all the properties went up. And by them going up in value, it helped us a ton by chipping away at that six to $700,000 in lost money. If that wasn't the case, I'd probably be bankrupt. That's the truth. And so I had to sell off existing assets I had, as well as wholesale, fix and flip, and do a lot of the groundwork. So I might look a little younger than I am, but trust me, it took a lot of wear and tear on me during 2020, 2021. And at the end of 2021 and 2022, I was pretty straightened out and did it really took a course for $1,000 from a person who taught raps. And raps was something that really intrigued me on how to buy a property subject to and then find a tenant buyer. So that was a business model that I really was attracted to because it taught me how to be the bank and really be in the middle the entire time. So that's like my primary focus when I go into buying deals or doing lease purchase options or lease purchases by wrapping deals and finding a tenant buyer or a rent to own tenant buyer and financing them, whether it's 1 year, 3 years, or 30 years. So we can get into the depths of that down the road, but that's my bread and butter. I love it. I think it's less labor intensive, less BS on the property management side. Um, and I can tell you by owning several rental properties, I want to personally convert a lot of my rental properties into rent to own because it's less maintenance because the tenant at that juncture becomes the owner. But yeah, that's really my story. That's my journey in real estate, and my journey still is evolving. I have several people that I look to, and even Dennis has a totally different vantage point of real estate, which I respect, and that's the reason why we teamed up here because he does a different. Really, he's a specialist in like capital raising, and I think that's a tremendous asset. And as you navigate the waters of real estate, you'll see a lot of people are specialists, just like physicians. There's a general physician usually, and then they have specialists inside the medical field, just like real estate. There's a lot of different specialists. I'm sure Dennis can say that as well. He knows people are amazing wholesalers. Some people are amazing at subject to, amazing at seller finance, amazing at lending, or just connecting the dots. Great realtors, seller agents, buyers agents, appraisers. So a lot of functions, a lot of different personality types, a lot of different people that can add value. But I would say, just from my experience in real estate, is find something that you really enjoy inside the business and ride it out, because that's where I enjoy rent to own, because I see more of a winning experience for the tenant buyer and helping them become a homeowner. So that's my why inside of the business, and it also helps create wealth. Not sure if that was too long, Dennis, but I wanted to
No,
just
no.
share what I think as far as every personality that you and I have worked with and come across in the business too.
Wow, so much to unpack there, Mario. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. So here's a follow-up question for you. I
Yeah.
just heard you say that a lot of your deals come from on the market. So I want you to distill a myth that there's no good deals in the market. What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah. So there, I guess the myth is taking action, because if you take enough action and you screw up enough, you're going to find out what routes or different strategies you need to take on market. I can give you two tips right now that I think work on market, that by me taking action, I figured it out. Going on Zillow and just calling people randomly, agents, asking them, if the seller's willing to do terms, right? Immediately they're going to shoot you down. But then when you just do one simple click of a filter by doing 90 plus days on market, conversations change a little bit by asking the same question. Would the seller be open to doing something creative, or would the seller be open to doing terms? You might get rejected, but you also will have a couple people intrigued by it. And even the ones that are intrigued may not say yes. But let's take it out to another 120 days. Take it out to 120 days, there's a lot more motivation from the sellers, because you have to look at the agent also doesn't want to lose the listing. So the agent wants to, or they should, provide options to the seller, even if it's a creative option, because it allows the seller's agent to look, well, not only look, but they should provide every offer possible to the seller so they can help them make a decision to sell the property. And I've noticed 90 to 120 days is a sweet spot area that you want to attack, that are days on market. Another part of on market deals are the keyword section. If you go in the keyword section and just type in the word motivated, it will populate all properties where it will put a keyword in the description of motivated seller. Great, great list to call. What I like to do is I keep two windows open. I'll have a Redfin open window, and then I'll keep the other window open for Zillow. What I like about Redfin is the keyword section and also the days on markets, and you can really filter out who you want to target. And then I take the address, when I find what I like from the keyword section, and I put it in Zillow, because Zillow gives you the agent's phone number. So when I go, that's why I keep both browsers open. I'll call Zillow's agent directly, and then you usually get a chance to talk to them. The reason why I like talking to realtors is they're easier to get on the phone during working hours than it is a seller directly. Not saying I don't like going to seller direct, but it's easier to get an agent during the day. So that means you have more of a volume of calls, more of a rhythm to talk directly to a prospective deal. So, and that's a great follow up too, because even if the agent's not open to it, who cares? Just keep it as a lead and keep it on in your spreadsheet, or if you have a CRM, because that conversation could change in another 30 days. So that's my way, Dennis, of identifying on market deals. And if you even go to Florida, I mean, especially in the sub two community, it's so easy to find a buyer on the back end, because there's so many people that want to invest in red states or Florida, Texas, and markets like that. If you type in a keyword of motivated in the state of Florida, it's unbelievable the amount of deals that we found in just Jacksonville alone. Like, Jacksonville's been a hot market where they're open to doing seller finance and subject to, and it's really just exploring, taking action, screwing up, and then adjusting and then taking action again. think you're muted, D. D, I think you're muted there.
There you go. I have a
Yep.
click here as well, by the way. And I
Okay.
appreciate the feedback. By the way, I just want to tell all of the viewers who's watching this, sub two is subject to. But what Mario was talking about, Pace Morby is our partner, is our leader, and we actually have a very large community that's building across the country. And as you mentioned, the real estate folks, well, I full disclosure for everybody, I'm a licensed commercial advisor, and my family is actually in the real estate as well. And I could tell you that there's actually inside of the MLS system, you can actually specify creative, but 95% of the real estate agents that you call, they were not taught that in school. They were not discussed that
Mm,
with the broker. And I hope through this show here, we're going to have a lot of realtors watching this show that they start to understand there's much different ways to make sure that your client that is about to go into pre-foreclosure because you can't move their property because their property has depreciated in value, there's other options.
yep.
And I think Mario did not say it, but I'll say it, is that we are in the business of helping people. We're in the business of solving problems. And a lot of times creative is born out of that because just a traditional, whether it's conventional because the rates are so high, whether it's even more of investor based, which is like a hard money situation, they really don't make sense. So that's where creative comes in because that really puts the seller, your client, or somebody in need in a power seat to where there's somebody are able to get out of the property, which could be a lot of different reasons, and still be in a situation where their credit is not going to be ruined for the next 7 years. And
Hmm.
that's the beauty that Mario's doing. That's the beauty that I'm doing. That's the beauty of what a lot of people who specialize in this area do to help out others who are in dire situations. It's almost kind of like Mario, I would say, when you go into the ER and there was a show, and the name actually escapes right now, but there was actually a doctor that was brought in to solve complex medical problems, and
Hmm.
that's what I really feel like that creative folks in the real estate space are those folks because it's not cut and dry, and you're always going to be in a situation where you're trying to solve problems and have a win-win situation for everybody involved in the transaction. How beautiful is that?
You're right. And Dennis, you explained it perfectly because what subject to seller finance or creative buyers look at things, they definitely look at a transaction in a three-dimensional approach because they're looking at it from the interest of the seller's vantage point, the real estate agent's vantage point, and how could they connect the dots to make it work. If it's negative equity, if there is equity, and they're providing options. Even I even tell people all the time, even if I'm not the person who buys it, maybe I can help connect you with a person that can help you in a situation you're in. So, but yeah, you made a great point on the whole equity piece of sometimes agents or they're not aware that if the seller cannot come to the closing table with a specific amount of money, that a person like you or I, Dennis, can go in and take over the mortgage and prevent a seller coming to the closing table with $20,000 that they do not have, especially in a market like today where there's a lot of uncertainty and with inflation and people could potentially go in foreclosure. Agents have more I call them, I guess they have more tentacles than anybody else. They are tap rooted into directly with sellers all the time. I mean, you and I can only reach so many people, but agents are really constantly pounding the pavement. They're connected with their brokers. They're really talking to so many people. So they are a tremendous source of knowing creative and helping connect the dots and bring it like bridging the gap between someone like us and helping their clients out. But even if it's not a route and creative doesn't work, I'm very transparent on saying, hey, this route just won't work because it doesn't make sense. Or if they need to get a loan modification and they should just stay in the property, I'll tell them like, why don't you go apply to get a loan mod, stay in the home because you may be 3 4 months in the rears, but if you get a loan mod, you can still stay there. You just need time. Some people just need time to catch up on some minor other bills. So there's several different situations that people are dealt, but that's the main thing. I think we have such a great community too in the subject to community where everybody is go givers, and go givers means helping people out, and that's why I love really working within our community of subject to and sharing our knowledge outside of it and bringing people in to see how we look at things as well.
Yeah, and the other thing that I want to mention, as Mario might have mentioned, but I'll just edify to that. Creative is not simple. Watching on YouTube, just like he mentioned, it's an expertise area. It's we have to put in a lot of time. You have to get trained. You have to be involved, almost like an apprentice kind of state. So that's why we decided to launch the show, is because there's a lot of people that are trying to do these opportunities, and they sometimes get into legal situations. By the way, full disclosure, I'm not an attorney. Mario's not an attorney.
Mhm.
We're not giving any kind of legal advice. We're just telling you what we're doing in real estate. But with that said, there's still definitely opportunities and lots of opportunities to be able to solve people's problems. Mario, that is just the whole component of it, is solving others' problems. With that
Yeah.
said, let me ask you, how did you solve your problem in going from a construction company where they almost bankrupt you? What kind of
Hmm.
lessons did you learn from that? Like, I almost feel like a lot of times when people go through almost like life changing moments, and it's unfortunate because most people don't make changes unless they go through life changing moments where they almost go bankrupt, they have a health situation, or potentially to get into some kind of marital issue.
You're
If
right. I would tell you it was a lack of leadership, and it's hard to say that. I would say it's hard to say that back then, but where I'm at today, it was a lack of me being a true leader and understanding what leadership was. Even to this day, my even playing basketball, I was a captain of a college basketball team, high school team. Leadership is such a hard thing to nail down, especially having employees and several employees with different personality types. And I did a poor job of leading the people that I hired, as well as hiring the wrong people in the wrong seats. I did not put the right people in the right seats. And that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother thing that put me in a bad position. But it was the lack of education, the lack of mentorship, the lack of a lot of things. So it's funny when people are scared to pay $10,000 for a mentorship or $30,000 for a mentorship. When you're 600,000, $700,000 ready to lose everything you got, I would have gladly have exchanged $30,000 for someone to teach me leadership at that time than go through all that pain and suffering of all that money. And it does take a lot of mental fortitude just to get through it, and it will be exhausting. I mean, there's times where you start questioning your ability to get to where you want to go, or you challenge yourself, or you're hard on yourself even more. So it does take it taxes you, but I would say that part of me was something that I was able to identify, of saying, I need to read more. I need to talk to my college coach of how he led us as a coach, or talking to other successful just business people of on the leadership level. But leadership was something that I definitely lacked. I didn't have weekly meetings. I didn't have daily huddles. I didn't instruct my contractors to have daily huddles to go through scopes of work. So it really was a wild, wild west, Dennis. There was no rhyme or reason with anything we did, and it was just a disaster waiting to happen. I should have consulted somebody. I should have had a consultant come in and really advise me on it. So I think there was a little bit of ego probably involved. I thought I knew real estate really well, and I would just come up with this construction idea. It would work, and boom, let me just invest money. It's going to happen. And it was probably one of the biggest lessons I learned by being a better leader. And even to this day, I know I have to do a better job in evolving it. And that's one thing that takes up a lot of time for me too, Dennis, is being a better leader to my employees and figuring it out, learning it, navigating it. So yeah, it's a big one. It's a really big one, and it's always something that um, I have to work on, whether it's then or to this day.
That's amazing. I mean, that's it's as long as you defined a plan and you obviously define mentorship and you join a mentorship inside of the subject to family. Um, that is by itself a monumental task. And
Hmm.
um, do you have any recommendation for, like, since you've gone through this
Yeah,
and we don't know who's going to watch this, maybe somebody who's watching this that are actually going through this where they have a construction company and
yeah.
they're over leveraged. um, what would you recommend to them so that they can either get a shortcut, or if you can literally go back to yourself 10 years ago and say, do this one thing, and things are not going to be very easy, but it might be to a point where you're not going to basically fail, or you might not fail as much, where you might have failed a lot more.
You're right. I first The first personality type I would say is you cannot have yes men around you. I had too many people that agreed with everything I said, and no one challenged me. So um, I'm not going to make every decision correctly. I'm not going to know everything about construction. And the people that I hired, I was expecting them to be uh, experts on construction, and they really wouldn't challenge me. So I think that was one problem. There was a lot of yes men. The second one is I'm just naturally more of a visionary. I didn't have a integrator or a person that was skilled at operations. There was actually several visionaries aligned with me. My construction manager, as I looked at his personality type, was a visionary. My operator was a visionary. So we were three similar personality types, which was just a a problem in in the works. So get someone that complements your skill set, your knowledge set, because it balances out things, and it is healthy to have conversations where you don't agree, and that's something that you should welcome. And it allows you to fine tune things and make adjustments. And my wife was one of the main reasons at the time we were dating, but she came in as my integrator in disguise because she was the one who shook things up and said, "Hey, why don't you look at this? Why are you spending so much money here?" So she was really the main reason why I got out of every problem that I created, because she looked at things from a different lens, which really helped me out. And even to this day, we do weekly level 10 meetings to go through the numbers, go through where our businesses are at, what we're spending on marketing, what we need to hire, what we need to adjust, what kind of trainings we need to do. So we spend 2 hours a week going through all of these things, and it compounds over time because um, it's very conducive, but it also allows you to ask questions and address issues. So having a complement to what you are is one of the main things I would say as you're trying to scale. And the second thing is not surrounding yourself with people that agree with everything you have to say.
Definitely agree on that. Because whenever you have yes man, you got to watch your back, because you're not going to know where things are going to go. And unfortunately, a lot of times people will follow you into a ditch and not
Yeah.
know, and not tell you, or not know that you're going into a ditch.
One thing I appreciated that you said to me, Dennis, when we first talked was just let's have a conversation if you ever feel a certain way or you want to talk about something, because that's the truth. That shows maturity. Because why should we just agree on everything? Why should we just say yes, 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 let's do this? There has to be some ability that we could be okay with having tough conversations or make adjustments here and there. And I think it's healthier than anything. Even whether I'm reading a book about it or doing it firsthand, it's very powerful being able to have people that see things different ways, and have a conversation about it. So I appreciate you having that conversation with me out of the gate.
Thank you, Mario.
No,
Last question, but
yeah,
I'm going to start out with a comment.
sure.
So I am seeing, with me being an accountability leader for sub 2 here in Northeast, once again, that
Mhm.
community that I was talking about, we have a lot of students.
Mhm.
And a lot of students are well intentioned. And a lot of times when I mentor them one on one or in a group setting, some of them come to me and say, I want to do things that are easier to be able to achieve to what I'm trying to achieve. Where in that point, I pause and I say, well, what do you do for your, for your regular live, how do you make a living?
Hmm.
Oh, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse. Okay. So how long did it take you to get there? And they say, 10 years, right?
Hmm.
From, start to finish, let's say. And my answer is like, well, what's different? Why do you think real estate is any different? In that context, what do you think people who are brand new, why do you think they feel like that it's a very simple thing to do, and it's just, if I just have the magic pill of easiness, or I just watch one more YouTube video, or I go to one more seminar, I'll crack the code, I'll just sit back and have all the money roll in.
You know what I think it is, Dennis, is there's so much content out there that people can explain it very easily that it sounds easy. And then the first time there's resistance, there's this huge like wall that goes up that they're like, I can't believe it. There's some there's an opposition. It's not as there's a problem and people give up. Um, so I would say first off, you have to ask. They have to ask like how you ask them the question, Dennis. These new students should be asking them the questions themselves a question of saying, if I face resistance or if it doesn't go according to plan, am I willing to face adversity and continue my journey in real estate? That should be one of the questions that they should ask themselves. Do they see enough value if if there are ups and downs in real estate to continue pushing forward? So the questions that you ask yourself should be really hard on you to see if it's a journey that you want to take, because it's definitely a journey worth taking. Because I've been at the lowest lows of it, and I can tell you, it's really worth it. I mean, I would never want to work for somebody else or take any other path besides real estate. I don't want to get into all the beautiful benefits that it offers you, but it is really one of the best, if not the best, business to be in. But there has to be a question of saying to yourself, "Am I willing to go through all the pain and heartache to make it something I want to do?" And if you are, then you have to take the basic steps. It's like a basketball player who starts off and wants to learn how to play the game. You have to have a coach. Every basketball player has a trainer, and then they have a coach, and the trainer trains you and they teach you how to dribble a basketball, how to pass the basketball, make chest passes, make bounce passes, all the minor small minute details to get yourself to get in shape and able to play and then get into the game. And when you're in a game, there's a coach who helps you play the game, and then they also break your stones. They give you the hard truth at halftime, they give you the hard truth in practice. So it's the same thing in real estate. You need to, I feel, align yourself with a couple people. There should be a mentor, an accountability person too. So a mentor could be like we have, Dennis, Pace Morby, and then there's accountability people along the way, whether it's someone that's in the same stage that you're in real estate, or they're just starting. But it's helpful to have someone hold you accountable, as well as someone that's really advanced. And I've seen that work for me in basketball, and I wish I endorsed that mentality when I did start that construction company, because I'm shocked that I did not implement that. And I think I'd have to go through a therapist to see what in my brain did not click to do that same mindset. Because when I got out of it, I'm like, why did I not do that? Because I did that with basketball, and I did it with a couple other things I did in my life. But packaging it with those two types of things really is what's going to help you catapult to just being confident in the business, and not only taking action but getting traction. And when you get traction, good things are going to happen in this business. And but there's people like Dennis and I that are more than willing to help people that are taking action. If you don't take action and you just show up and you or you're showing up inconsistently and asking nonsense questions, I don't think there's much value for you to be around us. I don't know, Dennis, if that's a little too blunt, but it's just a waste of your time. It's a waste of anybody's time. So you have to be committed, but you have to be committed to taking action, because that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to adjust. That's how people like us are going to really want to dive into deals. But if it's like you come and go, and it's just you're never going to get anywhere with this business, and that's like anything in life as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mario.
Yeah.
So with that, I do want to wrap it up, but I want to say a couple of things. Thank you so much for really being vulnerable and talking about your past, talking about
Hmm.
your failures. There's plenty of books out there that talk about that the top generals only become generals when they have failed so much. Um, because if you're not failing, you're not trying, you're not moving forward, in my opinion. The other thing that
Hmm.
Mario mentioned is the consistency aspect. So before launching the show, I talked to several high level people that are on YouTube, all over social media, very prominent. I'm not going to bring their names up today, but the one thing they told me is if I had if they had any kind of recommendation for our show to be successful, they said consistency.
Hmm.
So with that said, we're going to be consistent. We were going to be showing up here between 6 to 8 o'clock. We're going to have guests. We're going to have, as we mentioned before. So please help us grow this channel. If you're watching this and you get value, if this is on YouTube, please leave a comment. We'd love to hear your comments, good or bad. And as comments start coming in, we're going to start addressing it. Also, April 15th, we're going to have a live event. It's going
Hmm.
to be free. It's going to be in Marlton, New Jersey, at a title company, and we're going to be talking about actual creative opportunities that Mario and his team have acquired. And I'll be
Hmm.
talking about how to go out and connect with family and friends to start raising capital, as well as how to partner up with other people to raise capital. So we're going to help you really understand how to get into a creative deal, how to fund a creative deal, and how to potentially, if you don't want to hold it, how to sell a creative deal. There's lots of money people pay to go to these kind of events, and we're both experts in our areas. We'll be covering that. We
Hmm.
have a very low amount of people that can get into that event. We're really tapped out right now at 20 people. At this point, from what I checked last time, we're very close to sold out or out sold out. But I will put a link around
We only have
this
five
post.
spots left. That's it, D.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
five.
So please go up and sign up. And if you get a prompt saying that it's sold out, is the waiting list, put in your contact. We'll try to get as many people as we can. And that's something that we're going to continue consistently doing in the months ahead and getting better at it. So the first one, I mean, we might not be the best at it, just like the show. I'm sure we're going to
Hmm.
watch this show a couple of months from now and reflect on it and say, oh man, the microphone kept going off and stuff like that. We want
Yeah.
to be raw. We don't want, we're not going to be scripted. We're not going to be um, polished. We're going to tell you exactly how it is. We'll try to, I'm sure kids are going to be listening to this as well. I have a 15-year-old son that's following me into real estate, and I would not want to use certain kind of language, which I will not be using on this show. But besides that, it's pure value to anyone that's either in real estate, wants to get into real estate, is thinking about how they're going to scale their real estate, and anybody that is currently looking to even retire out of real estate but still want to keep on making money. So it covers all three quadrants. With that said, thank you so much, Mario, for joining. Thanks
Absolutely.
everybody for joining, and we're going to be signing off. We're going to be back here next Sunday, and I believe you're going to be Mario grilling me.
Yep.
We might have more questions, but if there's any questions that you have for me or Mario, I'm going to give you an email, sub2dv@gmail.com. But please, please, please share this and put comments. We love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.